Hi everyone, it's Neve here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we've got another in the series of Why I Art Journal and about quotes and collage. So you'll notice in a lot of my pages, if you've been in this channel for a while, when I do magazine collages I tend to do a lot of quotes, and I just find it a really easy way to I suppose clarify my thinking and have something meaningful on the page. And the way that magazine collages go on the page, I suppose, frames things up nicely. So it's sort of like a standalone little piece of art in your journal that, you know, is fairly easy to do. It's pretty mindless to do. You can have fun doing it and have something, and you know, that speaks to you in the end. So when I'm doing things like this, I don't tend to think about the backgrounds very much. I just put colour down. In this case, I put some lime, turquoise, night, I think, sort of navy blue, and some mineral, which is a light blue colour, mixed them together, and then I've put the cross stencil over the top and rubbed away a little bit, so you can sort of see those crosses coming through. So it was just a really easy way to create some sort of interest in the background. Now I'm going to get some gloss sprays out because I wanted some more of those crosses, and I've just sprayed through, and then I've pressed the stencil onto the page as well, so just to get some different types of shapes on my page. And it's you know, if you clean your stencils, I'd definitely suggest as soon as you've used the gloss sprays on them, you wipe them off. You can see me wiping it sort of off onto the sheet there, but I didn't actually clean it off afterwards. So it's always good to do that. You know, do as I say, not as I do type thing. In the background, I'm also putting in some mark making. So at this stage when I was doing this, I really didn't have an idea of where I was going with doing my magazine collage, and I have to admit, usually when I've done a magazine collage, I don't tend to put as much stuff in the background. The backgrounds tend to be very colourful, but they don't have as much mark making and stamping and stenciling on. So, you know, it doesn't matter if you do, you just need to be aware that you probably won't see much of it if you put it in the background. So I'm using this Blah 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 stamp, which is from Natalie May Scrapbooking, who's an Australian artist. And those stamps are available through her website. So you can see I was having fun with that gloss spray, and I did that again with the dots and a contrasting colour. So I've got some fuchsia going on there and a bit of orange, I think, some Tangelo sprinkle over the top. So, you know, have fun doing this. But this is what it sort of comes back to with that sort of mindless effort that you do. When I'm creating, when I'm in the mood that I'm, you know, when I'm doing these sorts of pages, I like to do things that I don't have to think about. So I've usually got a movie or something that I don't need to think about on my iPad playing in the background, and, you know, putting paint on, putting marks on the page for me isn't a big thinking thing to do, which sounds a bit strange. So yeah, I have fun. So you saw me sort of trialing out a figure that I thought I was going to put on this page, but I decided not to. So once I'd done that, I decided I wanted to go down the collage route. So I'm putting in a border, a really quick one, with washi tape. So I really like these sort of really simple black and white washi tapes. They really sort of help frame up a page. And I'm also using my black paint pen and a ruler for a change. Usually I try and freehand it. To put a margin around the page, so you can sort of see it just really frames it up. Then I saved you a little bit of bother because I decided that I wanted to use some of these Dylusions cutouts. So this is from the Dylusions collage sheets, and I cut them out previously. You can see I'm being I've cut really closely around the edges. I've cut out the little white spaces in them, and you notice I also use my knife to cut around the hand because I found this really cool picture of banana in a magazine, and I wanted her to be holding something. So she's holding a banana. It's crazy, but there you go. So when I've got this on the page, I'm now going to do some extra pen work over the top, which seems a little crazy, and you don't have to do this. But I'm sure you can sort of see the difference. By putting that black around, you can actually really see the outlines of the shapes. Now, because these are printed on matte paper, obviously they've got black on them, but because it's printed on black matte paper, it's not a really truly deep black colour. So if you really want to boost the colour on your page, go over it with a paint pen or with a black, I think that's a food ball pen that I'm using there, a finer pen, just to sort of get the outlines again. And it's also a really cool way of getting a more two-dimensional, cartoony type effect on your page. So it sort of really pops out the colours and makes it really two-dimensional. You can have as much or as little fun doing this as possible. Again, usually if I've got a movie going in the background, I just keep playing. So I keep adding stuff and keep adding stuff and keep adding stuff. You know, it is what it is. I find it very meditative and relaxing to do. And the great thing is, you know, I'm not having to hand draw this. I'm just putting in lines and dots and so on in things that are already there. So it really is fairly easy to do, and it means that something that's already a piece of artwork, that you're customizing it and making it more personal to you. The other cool thing is that if you really don't like the colors of something, you can change them. So I'm using paint pens to do all of this. You could use gel pens to do that as well. Possibly Copic markers, except they're a little bit more translucent and you may find they bleed. So I'd certainly try that out on something before you did it. But you know, anything you can add paint to. If you had a really fine paintbrush, you could also, you know, attack it with your acrylic paint and a fine paint pen. So now I'm going in and writing my quote, and I tend to find my quotes from Pinterest, but I've actually been finding a lot on Facebook at the moment. So I've got a file on my Facebook page where I just, you know, if I find a quote that I like, I save it into that file and I just go into that when I'm looking for something to put down. And I really liked this quote because it really summed up what I was feeling at the time. So sometimes bravery is choosing to take the next step without knowing where you're going to, I think, paraphrased. And I'm using a neon paint pen to do that. So I chose that so it echoed the colours of her hair and stood out from the background. Because I had a lot of cool colours in the background, I wanted to have a contrasting colour to do the text. So a lot of people ask me about how I do my quotes and how I do my handwriting on the page. There's nothing really fancy to it. Because I work mostly in acrylic paints and my backgrounds are mostly acrylic paints, I do choose to use a paint pen and write directly on the page. Now you could certainly get a pencil and sort of space it out first, but I find if I use my acrylic paint pen, if I make a mistake while it's still wet, I can just wipe it away and I don't have any evidence of it being there. I'm very heavy-handed when it comes to pencils, so I usually leave an indent in the page, which bothers me. So each to your own. But I write it out just with thin strokes first, and then once I've got the spacing, I go back and widen up the strokes. So, you know, extend it down into this little spaces I've got, just to make sure it sort of fits in the entire space. With this, just because it's sort of blended in a little bit into the background, I've decided usually I put a drop shadow on my letters. In this page, I actually chose to outline the entire letters to make them stand out from the background. I'm really glad I did, because it just sort of really captures that pink and pushes it off the page. You'll also notice when I have run out of room, I'm not afraid to write over my image, because for me, on pages like this, the quote's probably more important than the image. The image doesn't necessarily relate to the quote. She's not necessarily looking particularly brave, but you know, I like the balance on the page. So it depends what you want to do. And obviously, you know, if you look at contrast between the two pages, I've got quotes on both pages. One's probably be more in step with one image is more in step with the quote than the other. So this is the final page, really, really quick and simple, and really bright and happy. So by doing a page like this, it's a really great way to frame a quote in your book and just to make it sort of stand out amongst your other pages. I know for me personally, when I'm going back and flipping through my books, that I really love pages like that sort of just stand alone. I hope you have a go at trying it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, bye for now.